Welcome again to Leading Edge. I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and I do hope the sessions continue to be useful to you. Please let us hear back from you how this is helping you. All right. So last week we started this whole conversation on managing transitions. Particularly we zeroed in on the 5 dynamics of transition. All right? In it we sought to understand the nature of transition. Now the points that we covered last week were transition is movement without movement. Number 2, transition is a frozen time zone. Number 3, transition is a journey in between places. And then we spoke about transition is an invitation to grow. And finally, transition recreates you. Okay, so today as we open this conversation again on managing transition, I'd like to start by making this point, that transitions are like going through valleys and peaks, valleys and mountains. An important lesson is knowing that both the mountain and the valley are correlated. The one leads to the other. Each anticipates the other, and none can exist without the other. So, in his book of that title, Peaks and Valleys, Making Good and Bad Times Work for You, management consultant Spencer Johnson makes the following profound submission, I must say. He said that it is in the valley that you get the supplies you need to stay on the mountain. I think that's a powerful lesson. In other words, the grueling success habits of persistence, consistency, hard work that help you retain a disciplined life of striving for more when you eventually land a CEO role or get your company into the 10 or 13-digit profit league are formed mostly during the tough career days that you have had. Let me share with you, therefore, 5 ways to manage transitions. Today, we'll be looking at that. 5 ways to manage transitions. I believe this will help you stay true to yourself, whether you are in the valley or on the mountain. Okay, so let's take number 1. Number 1, I will say, is accept. Change is as normal as breathing in and then out. The most foundational point of managing transitions is understanding and accepting that change is normal. It is accepting that transition is natural to life. Life is about transitions, about movements. That's it. Okay? So the transition experience you are going through is not unique to you. People go through it every day, everywhere, and in different shapes and shades. So embrace yours. Now, why do you have to accept this transition experience? I will tell you. Transition is necessary. As I said in the last episode, transition helps you learn. It helps you grow. It helps you leverage the richness of the human experience. Just take a look at the changes we see in nature all around us. So, day moves into night, winter moves into summer, conception to birth, living to dying. Now notice this. Some of these appear beautiful. Some are painful, and some are both. Sweet or painful, you must know this. They are all a part of life. Even some of the natural beautiful phenomena in life, they start with some of the most painful processes. Ask any woman about the experience of bringing forth that adorable baby. It's beyond painful. At least my wife told me so. The biodome experiment conducted in the 1980s proved that for any tree to grow strong roots, it needs to be blown around by the wind. So be sure that even the good things cause stress. They cause friction. They cause pain. It is therefore not whether you will go through a transition. It is when and how it will happen. So accept your transition. It may not feel good, but it can deliver what makes you even better. So part of accepting transition is knowing that it requires effort and tough work, right? To move from valley to the mountain, it requires wisdom. It requires a plan. So don't fold your arms and wait and hope that what you are facing up will just go away. Avoidance, I think, is a bad strategy when you are going through a transition. So don't run from your giant. You challenge it. You never win a Goliath in battle by hiding or running from it. you run towards him. Okay? He is your invitation to greatness, to relevance. He is your invitation to the throne. Ask David. All right? So the last part of acceptance is just knowing that transitions take time. So take things one step at a time. I read Ted Decker's book, And the Shofar Blew, some years ago. One of the big lessons I learned through a character in that book who was struggling and working himself out of an addiction was just that power that comes from simply focusing on winning the battle just for the day. All right? Just win it one day at a time. So accept that it takes time. All right? And so be realistic about what you expect even from yourself. If you have experienced a loss, accept what you are experiencing, but be kind to yourself. The pain may not disappear fast, so seek help and support when you need to, right? That's okay. Generally, it's good during a transition to have clear goals to look ahead to, but focus on the realistic steps you can take to nourish yourself and effectively cope each day. Okay. So number 2, don't lose you. Practice self-mastery, right? A time of transition is a time to reintroduce you to you. Otherwise, others will reintroduce you. People will call you names, describe you, explain what's going on with you. They will call you stuck. They will adduce reasons why things are not going too well with you or why you are still in that situation for this long. But be secure in your own identity. For instance, you may be advanced in age without a husband or wife. Just know your true self. Know who you are. You may be married for years without a child. Again, just know you. Know the authentic you. You may have lost your job or have been looking for one for so long. Again, I say to you, know you. Your business has hit the rocks and each thing you try doesn't work out well and people are talking all over the place. Just know yourself. Your career is not going well. Just know you. That's my point. Learn to separate who you are from what you do. Now, let me share a personal experience with you. So after the Nigeria banking consolidation exercise that took place, I think, 2005, the institution I was working with was affected. So I had to move to another bank where I was sent to work in one of the big branches. It turned out that my grade was the same with the grade of the branch manager who was there. The arrangement I had with the executive director in charge was that I should work in that big branch for a while and then be moved to another branch I was to manage myself. So once I resumed and the branch manager saw that I was at the same level with him and I was coming from an executive director, he panicked and made the quick assumption that I had been posted there to take over his position. As would be expected, that was how antagonism began. The first thing he did was to give me a sitting space between a photocopier stand and the branch's dispatch rider. Next, he was not inviting me for the weekly management meetings. So at such times, if you don't know yourself, you will lose yourself. Trust me. All right? Now, I must confess to you, it felt bad at the time. But I chose to be me. I had to bear the disgrace. All right? I chose to focus on my job and on doing it well. Now, one of my good friends, and this is where I'm really coming to, visited me one day in the office and sat across my desk in that humble location in the open hall between a copier and a dispatch man. My friend said to me, "Each time I see you here, I feel bad for you." Now, as he said that, and without processing it for long, I responded as follows. I said to him, "I have both a master's and a bachelor's, right? Bachelor's and a master's degree, with exceptional grades in both of them. Has this place I am sitting torn my certificates?" I asked him. I said to him, "I have great competence and experience in my job. Has this place taken those away from me?" I said to him, "I know the market quite well with deep contacts and network here to enable me excel on the job. Has this place erased all of that?" And as he stayed quiet, looking at me, I said to him, I am valuable all by myself. That's called self-identity. That's knowing your value. If your value is merely defined by where you are or what you have, then you really have no value. If where you are determines your value, you either don't know you or you have nothing in you. The good thing was that over time, that branch manager came to understand that I had no agenda beyond my job. I worked well with him, supported him, gave him leadership. We became the best of friends and confidants. No, so I will ask you, are you going through a transition? Are you in a bad place where people are making you feel like you are less than you? May I say this to you? Know yourself. Know your value. Know your worth. Focus on that and don't lose you. Even when what's outside you is altered, ensure that what's inside you remains intact. You are valuable all by yourself. So transitions can also be a move to a place of sudden, relative, or overwhelming comfort, a good place. Again, don't lose you. Don't violate who you are. Don't mistake what surrounds you with who is within you. Transitions to power, to profit, to popularity only reveals who you have always been. It is only a platform to display what's been inside you. It can either be pride, greed, vindictiveness, or it can be humility, selflessness, and a large heart that can accommodate. So number 3, focus on being and doing your best while you wait for the lift to the next curve on the mountain. Now listen to this. Being and doing your best during your transition is tough. Take it from me. Very tough. But if you must get the best out of the transition and arrive at a better place, all right, that's exactly what you need, being and doing your best. Let me show you 3 parts to this process. Number 1 part to that process is identify and summon your strengths. One invaluable teacher during a transition is experience. Think through how you handled other transitions in the past, how you handled changes and challenges. What helped you then to come through successfully? Ask yourself that. What have you picked up that make you resilient? What are your biggest motivations in life? This will help you stay the course. This is how you identify the strengths and values to draw on and thrive in the current or the next transition experience you may be going through. Number 2, transcend where you are at. Don't react barely based on where you are now. Respond based on where you hope to be. Again, this is regardless of whether you are in the peak or in the valley transition. Let me give you an example. If you get into some bad season in your career where the results are not showing and you appear not to be growing, no promotions, no raises, the temptation is often to point at the system, point at the organization, point at the bosses as the ones to blame for not doing right by you. You cite all the great performances and contributions, guess what? Of your past. You never want to look inward at yourself to find out what could be wrong and how you may change and change things along the way. Now, as a result of this, take note, your belief in the organization and the leader will begin to wane. Mark the word I used, belief. This will eventually begin to impact how you feel about the job. With a waning feeling comes a drop in your commitment to the job and to the organization. This then eventually leads to an even poorer performance. It's a vicious circle, as you can see. Note the way this thing works. There is a strong connection among these 4 things: your belief, your feeling, your commitment, and your performance. Now, your level of performance is the outcome of the negative or positive belief, feeling, and commitment that you may have. So when you allow your belief, feeling, and commitment to be impacted negatively, your performance simply teeters south. It goes down. And guess what? As we say, you're as good as your current performance. No one will take you serious for being a great man of faith or a great man of integrity 5 years ago when you are now shifty and unreliable today. All right? No one will promote you based on your star performance of 3 years ago, whether it was recognized then or rewarded or not. I say that because I have seen people who are stuck in the past in their career. 3 years after their great performance, they are still waiting to be rewarded today based on that, while their current performance is poor. My friend, wake up. The past has passed. When your reaction to a sense of not being rewarded adequately by your organization is to give poor performance, you only prove them right in not promoting you in the first place. Ultimately, it leads to a vicious circle of poorer performance and poorer performance assessment with tightening consequences. So, what will I say to you? Summon your strength and transcend where you are at today. Be in the now. Now, the third part of this is accept that the time of transition is a time of preparation. Sometimes transition feels like you are simply hidden away from everyone. Nothing you do is recognized. Okay? Now, in the Bible, Jesus was hidden for 30 years in preparation for just 3.5 years of showing forth. Now, do you feel hidden? What will I tell you? Be patient and learn. This happens in careers, it happens in businesses. Sometimes the greater the weight of preparation, the greater the relevance you will attain. The more prepared you are, the better and longer you last in the place of greatness. People have moved too quickly to the top without developing the character structures and competence that can sustain success. And what happens? They crash. Make the most of this period of hiding, this period of preparation. Right. So number 4, leverage your network and create a new community that's beyond yourself. Now, one of the greatest values of a transition period is that it eliminates a lot of unnecessary fat and baggage around you. You will often lose a lot of people, a lot of relationships, friends, fans, the entire maddening crowd, I will call them. Your network may shrink during your transition. Don't let that phase you. It's a gift. The gift of elimination of the things that can cloud and encumber you, as it were, on your path to a greater place. Okay? So once the crowd is gone, you will easily identify your true inner circle. You will find those relevant for your journey. See, it doesn't make the other people bad people. It's just that they are not part of your current journey. You often find that during your transition, while people and things leave you, there are a few persons that continue to believe in you, that stick with you, even when you are generally, unbelievable, right? As it were. That is your true company. Now draw support from them. To successfully navigate the challenges of a tough transition, a strong support system is critical. You need to tap into the guidance, the inspiration, and the help of such a support system during transitions. In your business, in your relationship, in your marriage, in your career, in your ministry. If you have a new job or you moved into a new location, tapping into a supportive individual or a group of persons makes the transition easier for you. So don't go it alone if you can. All right? So sometimes you may have to build a community of people of a common interest or who are going through a similar, transition that you are going through. For example, we've known of women who have special needs kids who have come together to, form a community, build a community to support each other as they navigate the process of raising such precious kids. It's always helpful to be a part of a group where people have shared emotions and thoughts. Just knowing that many of you feel or have felt the same way you feel at one time or another is crucial in gaining perspective and comfort in that collective human experience. So sharing experiences and perspectives, giving and receiving empathy, learning from each other can help you cope with a very tough transition. I've also found 2 other critical things that can help in this regard. One is having a rich personal life. Especially for career people, it is important that beyond the work, there is something meaningful you throw yourself into in your personal space. It can help you, not a little, in coping with a tough transition period in your career. The second thing is spending your time helping other people, even when you are going through a tough period or process of transition yourself. What that does for you is that it takes the focus away from you and from your challenges, right? Okay, so number 5, which is the final point I'm going to be making. Remember that there are no peaks in life, only greater heights. So what do I tell you? Never stop. Keep moving. Now, 2 years ago, when Apple became the first company to hit the $1 trillion mark in market capitalization, no one ever saw what was going to happen in 2020, right in the middle of a global pandemic. Apple has broken its own incredible record. So, there are no peaks in life. When in 2018, Jeff Bezos became the world's richest man with a net worth of $112 billion, and later giving away $38.3 billion of that to his wife in divorce settlement, no one thought again that he could roundly beat his own record, touching the $200 billion mark in 2020. Right? Again, there are no peaks in life. One of the most powerful apostles of the Christian church, Apostle Paul, makes this powerful comment to demonstrate that stretching to greater heights is part of an ongoing life of what I would call progressive transitions, because transitions will always happen. He said this in Philippians 3, verse 13, in the Passion Translation. This is what he says: I do have one compelling focus. I forget all of the past as I fasten my heart to the future ahead. So I will ask you, are you in a valley of transition? Keep pushing. Don't lose your dream. Continue the stretch. Dreams happen. Are you on the mountain of success? Again, don't stop. There is more out there. Remember, as I said, there are no peaks in life, only greater heights. Okay, let me close with this. Beethoven composed his greatest masterpiece, the Ninth Symphony, while he was completely deaf. His final words were very fitting. This is what he said: I shall hear in heaven. Beethoven had learned to elegantly master his suffering. Let me encourage you to master your narrow place of transition today. Like Beethoven, you have an invitation to create an uncommon masterpiece, building something bigger than you, out of and despite the hard place you may be in today. Right. So this brings us to the end of this, the 5 ways to manage transitions. And let me recap. We've covered accept. Change is as normal as breathing in and then out. Number 2, don't lose you. Practice self-mastery. Number 3, focus on being and doing your best while you wait for the lift to the next curve on the mountain. Number 4, remember, leverage your network and create a new community that's beyond yourself. And finally, there are no peaks in life, only greater heights. So, never stop. Just keep moving. Okay. So this brings us to the end of this session today. And I'd like to thank you for joining us. If you are not yet following us on all our various social media handles, please do follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'd like to see you comment, like, and share. All right? And let's keep knowing that this thing is being helpful to you. So thank you for joining us for today again. This has been Leading Edge.